What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where we are training up warriors, not weaklings. Today is Thursday, November 20th in the year of our Lord 2025. And this is where we come to get equipped to stand firm, speak truth, and fight back against the culture that is trying to steal your faith, your family, and your freedom. And this is, make no mistake, a spiritual battle, and it never takes a day off. So we're done pulling punches. We are done pulling punches. The gloves are off, and we are getting after it. So be sure to follow us on all the socials at Mission Ready Men, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Truth, Getter, and be sure to subscribe to our Rumble and YouTube channels. And if you want to wear the fight, let everyone know that you're in this to win it. Head over to missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all the great designs that we have over there. And it is Black Friday. We have a Black Friday sale going on. Black 30 is the code to get 30% off everything at the store. So go ahead and check that out. You will not be disappointed. All right, now that business is done, it is go time. And when these people tell you who they are, believe them. And this another thing that I say. Well, you know what? We'll get into that in a second. But these leftists, my goodness, they are a reprehensible bunch. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll get into it, because this is something that, well, you know what? Let's just get into it, and then let's just watch it, and then we'll get into it, because this is ridiculous. This is utterly, utterly ridiculous.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
One has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army.
Our Navy.
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
Our Constitution.
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
That sounded awfully insurrection-y to me. Basically, what they're saying is we don't like our commander-in-chief, so we don't think anything he says, any orders he gives, are lawful. So go ahead and disobey. Go ahead and refuse those orders. The party of no kings is inciting a military coup. That's what that amounts to. And as a former service member myself, this is, to my mind, political sabotage. This is, like I said, insurrection-y. And they say that the laws are clear and you can refuse illegal orders, which is true, but they don't say anything about what constitutes an illegal order. Nothing. And then when they went on all the different leftist networks and were asked about that, and they had nothing to say. They couldn't say anything about what they thought would be an illegal order. And you know what they're thinking about when they say this. They're thinking about the Venezuelan drug boats. They're thinking about military support for our CBP and ICE officers in these different cities. These people, and I know some of them weren't in office at the time, but they had nothing to say. No leftist had anything to say when Barack Obama was drone striking American citizens without due process. Nothing. Crickets from the left. And even though the people that allegedly were targeted were terrorists, suspected terrorists, they should have been arrested and brought to justice, unless they were actually actively engaged in some terrorist activity, and at which point they become combatants, and then, oh well, too bad, so sad, but not. This is, yes, BZ, they are talking about the National Guard as well. Yes, absolutely. BZ is in the chat. My good friend Sackhead Sean is in the chat. If you want to join in the chat, head over to YouTube. That's the best place. But anywhere where you are watching this, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, go ahead and hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. But this is, as I said, I am a veteran, and I wore the uniform, and lawful orders should be obeyed. Unlawful orders should be refused. Everyone who has ever served understands this. We're taught this. But we're also taught what constitutes an illegal order. Anything that violates the Constitution, anything that potentially violates international law, and anything that violates US law is an illegal order that can be refused. They didn't say any of that because they want our service members to refuse any and all orders coming from this commander-in-chief. So when they tell people to refuse these orders without any context whatsoever, that's planting a seed of distrust in the chain of command and letting their hatred of one man, Donald Trump, letting their hatred of him override their patriotism and love of country. And of course, we've been seeing the evidence of this since he came down the golden escalator. That's political messaging infiltrating the one institution that absolutely must remain apolitical. They're normalizing mutiny. They're inciting an insurrection. Now, make no mistake about it. If Republicans had made such a video when Barack Obama was in office, they would be screaming. It would be DEFCON 1. They would be screaming insurrection. They would be screaming rebellion. But when the Democrats do it, because that's different, it's courage. It's protecting democracy. It's safeguarding norms or something. And we've known this, and we've talked about this before. They love to change definitions of words to fit their narrative. They've been doing it for decades. If we say, the Democrats, if we say it's illegal, and if we don't like the president, then just don't obey. Trust us, bro. That's what it boils down to. Trust us. Couldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. It's utterly, utterly disgraceful. And they took an oath. These people were service members, so they took an oath to the Constitution. They're serving in office, so they took another oath to the Constitution. And they're violating it willy-nilly. If you really want to protect democracy, then stop telling troops, stop telling intelligence operatives to ignore the commander-in-chief. They're the real threats to democracy. They keep throwing out that phrase, threat to democracy. But we just saw the real threat. And it's not just those 6, because for whatever reason, those 6 were chosen because of their military and intelligence backgrounds, I imagine. But there were others, and every single one of them, except for maybe John Fetterman and maybe one other one. With those exceptions, they all agree with this. All right, I wanted to address that real quick, because that was something that I actually hadn't planned on talking about it, but then as I kept seeing it and seeing stories about it and thinking about it, I had to say something. I had to address it real quick, but and I know we're already 15 minutes in. It wasn't real quick, but anyway, I do want to get to this because this is a follow-up to what we talked about in the last show, and we're gonna hang out here for a second because there is so much to talk about. I guarantee you that everything that I have prepared, I am not going to get to, and I want to, but we'll see how it goes. But Saudi Arabia, we talked about Saudi Arabia last time and their PIF, public. I can't remember what it stands for, but a lot of money flowing into the country. They have, and I mentioned it in the last one, but they have this thing called Vision 2030. And it is Saudi Arabia's grand plan to stop being dependent, stopping the country that just sells oil, and try to reinvent itself as this modern financial powerhouse. And it was this Vision 2030 started in 2016, built on a vibrant society, a thriving economy, and basically being an ambitious nation. They want to be Dubai, basically. They want to be Dubai. And what it's supposed to do is diversify their economy away from oil and bring in a lot of massive investment, foreign investment, and build a bunch of mega projects and tourist attractions, and modernize to the extent that it really can their society. And we'll talk about that here in a second. And this really matters for us and for the world, because if they're successful in implementing this Vision 2030, a richer and more powerful Saudi Arabia becomes a major player in global investment, a major player. And none of this means that they are abandoning their Islamic roots, their Islamic, yeah, I mean, they are an Islamic country, and they are not letting that go. They are not softening any of that. And they want to be able to play both sides by becoming less reliant on the United States. This is not just a development plan. This is their attempt to reposition themselves on the world stage. And I want to show you something, because this is from their document outlining what Vision 2030 is. And I just want to show you this real quick. A vibrant society with strong roots. We have enormous untapped, and this is from their document. We have enormous untapped opportunities and a rich blend of natural resources, but our real wealth lies in our people and our society. Sounds great, right? Sounds wonderful. We take pride in what makes our nation exceptional. Here we go. Our Islamic faith and our national unity. Our nation is the core of the Arab and Islamic worlds. If that doesn't raise a red flag, then you just aren't paying attention. But here's the kicker. Islam and its teachings are our way of life. They are the basis of all of our laws, decisions, actions, and goals. Following Islam's guidance on the values of hard work, dedication, and excellence, Prophet Muhammad, said that Allah loves us to master our work. Therefore, the principles of Islam will be the driving force for us to realize our vision. The values of moderation, tolerance, excellence, discipline, equity, and transparency will be the bedrock of our success. Well, I call BS on that. I call total BS on that. That is the practice of taqiyya at work right there. That is because the principles of Islam call for them to deceive in order to advance Islam. And that is it in black and white right there. And so that brings us to President Trump inviting this guy to the White House. But before we actually get to that, I want to get to this, because this just shows how, I don't want to say schizophrenic, but just incoherent our foreign policy is right now. And I'm going to get into why I believe that in a second. But the other day, Greg Abbott, he did something that I actually agree with. I think he was right on point when he did it. And I don't say that about him very often, because I think he is a squish Republican at best. I don't think he's really conservative much at all. But this is a proclamation that Greg Abbott signed on the 18th. Pursuant to the powers as governor of the state of Texas, Greg Abbott has issued the following: a proclamation designating the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR as foreign terrorist transnational criminal organizations under the Texas Penal and Texas property codes. That is absolutely fantastic. This, as fantastic as it is, it's a little late. He's a little late to the game, because what this does is prevents them from buying property and all the rest of that. But they've already bought a ton of property. I mean, 300 mosques, I think, in Texas, 48 built in the last 2 years. So this is, as great as this is, he's going to have to hit the gas a little more, because there's a lot more to be done to actually make this happen. And they're going to sue. They've already said that they're going to sue, that this is a violation of their First Amendment, blah, blah, blah. But this is a good first step. Meanwhile, a few hours after this, President Trump invited, or had Mohammed bin Salman from Saudi Arabia at the White House in the Oval Office. And it was like he just rolled out the red carpet for this guy who dismembered an American journalist not that long ago. And his response when asked about it was, "Things happen." Really? Really, dude? And see, for all those people out there who think that conservatives think that President Trump can do no wrong, that we just accept anything that he does and just go with it. No, that's not how this works. That's what those leftists do. Those leftists just accept anything that their leaders, such as they are, say and do without any question whatsoever. But we don't do that right on through here, because President Trump made a mistake as far as I'm concerned. First with the jihadists from Syria, and now this guy. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the highlights from President Trump's meeting with this guy, and then we'll get into it a little more.
When you invest $1 trillion, that's national security for us too, because it creates jobs, it creates a lot of things. And I would say,
is it though? Is it, when these guys are the ones investing that money? I'm a little skeptical of that.
Right? When you hear one country is putting $1 trillion into the United States, that creates national security. And I think that they don't have to say that, but I think a big part of that is also the fact that tariffs are in play. But even beyond tariffs.
Look at the look on this guy's face. I just now noticed that. This guy knows he is, wow, I just noticed that. And that is That's even scarier. Wow.
That's a real ally that will do that. Creates a lot of power for the United States. You know, when you invest.
Yeah. I don't know what President Trump has had a rough couple of months, because he's done some things that I really have a problem with. And here's another thing that he did that I have a problem with. And you'll see why here in a second. Check this out.
Are you planning to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
I mean, and also, are you looking at doing a similar security agreement like you did with
Yeah, no, I am planning on doing that, yeah.
You're gonna
They
sell
want to
the
buy it.
F-35s?
They've been a great ally. They've got to like us very much. Look at the Iran situation, what we did in terms of obliterating, you know, we obliterated their nuclear capability. Yeah, I will say that we will be doing that. We'll be selling F-35s, yeah.
Are you?
Another mistake. And he also designated them a major non-NATO ally. Just because they have a ton of money, and just because they have designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization themselves, doesn't mean that they are our allies. I know legally, I mean, technically they are an ally, but they're not really. They can't be. Anyone who knows anything about Islam knows that they're not our ally. Not by a long shot. And so we have on one hand, Greg Abbott calling out the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR, calling them foreign terrorist organizations. And on the other hand, you have President Trump turning around and selling F-35s, one of our most advanced fighter jets, to a country whose holy book calls for them to destroy us, to kill us wherever they find us. Islam openly preaches that Western democracy is inferior to Islamic law, and that America must, not just must, will submit. This is, you can find these videos of these imams saying this all over the place. It's not hard. And free speech, freedom of religion, all that stuff, Islam sees as an obstacle to overcome. The Muslim Brotherhood, do I have that? Yeah. This is from the Muslim Brotherhood's own document. This is a primary source right here. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Now, yes, this is the Muslim Brotherhood. This is not Saudi Arabia. They're at odds. Yes, I understand that. I made that clear. But they follow the same religion. They follow the same doctrine. They're just being stealthier about it. And so, to me, selling them F-35s inviting them to the White House is a disaster waiting to happen. And so Greg Abbott did what he could do on a state level with this, and that's great. But President Trump going into partnership with this monarchy, I don't know. I do know. It's a mistake. It's an absolute mistake. Greg Abbott says that Islamist movements infiltrating America is a bad thing, and then President Trump rolls out the red carpet for an Islamist regime. This is dangerous. This is, and think about it. We see this in Minnesota with the Somali population. We see this in Dearborn with the Islamic population. They don't just magically assimilate because they're in this country. It's the exact opposite. They are here, and you can find these videos all over the place too. They are here specifically to not assimilate. They are here to infiltrate. And now we have Saudi Arabia spending $1 trillion. That money buys a lot of influence and a lot of power. And so deepening our cooperation with this regime is one of the absolute worst ideas I think we could possibly come up with. And President Trump, I don't think he's doing this in some sort of cooperation to try and take down the United States or anything like that. I do not believe that. I believe in his mind, he thinks that money solves everything. He thinks that prosperity and getting people rich and getting people richer is going to solve all the problems. Yeah, BZ, Trump, this is a Trump fault, believing that he can cut a deal with anyone. And his history has taught him that. But it's a miscalculation on his part to think that that money is going to overcome the ideological and religious zeal that these people have. I think that, and I know that there are people in his administration that are trying to tell him this. I guarantee you, Stephen Miller and a bunch of other people are saying, tell him to pump the brakes on this. But his ego and his track record of success, I think, is telling him that he's got this. And I think it could very well spell disaster if we continue to allow this to happen. Because this is mixed signals. Because on one hand, we're telling the Islamic world, we will fight you, we will stop you. And then on the other hand, we're telling them, but if you're rich enough to negotiate, well then, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. And Americans who are paying attention to this, who actually understand what a threat Islam is, see these leaders like Trump and all the rest of them trying to treat them as a business partner. And allies around the world are looking at this and saying, the United States can be bought. And I like I said, I don't believe that is his intent, but that is the perception that he is putting out there. And that's a problem. That day was a tale of two countries. And it just shows that, as I said, the United States, right now, we have no coherent plan, policy on Islamism. And if we're not careful, if we don't come up with one, what we see happening over in Europe, in the UK, and Germany, well, we see the seeds germinating here in Texas and Florida and Dearborn, Michigan, and other places. And that gap between President Trump's policy and the policy of Texas and other places that recognize this threat, that is a wide gulf full of danger that we better address quick. All right, y'all, let's take a break and get a word in from our sponsor. And our sponsor for today's show is Carry Girl Gear. And it is Black Friday. We're having a Black Friday sale for Carry Girl Gear. 50% off Black Friday on Carry Girl Gear. And check out all these great designs. Jesus is King. The 2A fib trucker, that's a great design, isn't it? I actually have that on a 7 Armor shirt too. That's awesome. But we got all kinds of stuff. Concealed carry leggings, all kinds of stuff. And check this out. This is the pretty on point tumbler that you can customize with the name of your wife or your girlfriend or your daughter. That is a great tumbler. All kinds of hats, drinkware, the anatomy of a revolution, and then the Grace collection. Holiday gifts, all this glassware. I mean, this is some great stuff. These are some great gift ideas that you would be silly not to take advantage of, especially at 50% off. And not to be outdone, but 7 Armors is having a 30% off Black Friday sale. And check out all these great designs we have here. The 50 cal keychain, 7 Armors basic with 7 Armors flag and logo. Joggers. I have this 3/4 zip. That's awesome. And you've seen me wear the hat before. I mean, come on. Come on, check these out. This right here, where is it? This right here is one of my favorite designs. The Come and Take It, long sleeve and short sleeve. You will not be disappointed. And this is a sticker, but you've seen me wear this shirt before on the air. So head over to carrygirl.com or missionreadymen.com and click Shop 7 Armors and check out all of these great designs. Black 30 is the code for the Black Friday sale on Mission Ready Men. And it's 50% off on Carry Girl for all of those great designs. So check it out. Visit carrygirl.com or missionreadymen.com/7armors and check out everything that we have over there and get it in time for Christmas. All right, y'all. I am Big E. You are watching and listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch my good friend Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, and the Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. He will be on tonight, so please check him out. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all of those guys' great shows. Subscribe to the channel. We are at 677 last I looked, and so we're looking to hit 700. We'd like to hit 700 by the end of the year. I know I said earlier in the year we want to hit 1,000. That doesn't look like it's going to happen, barring some divine intervention. But let's go ahead and try to hit 700 by the end of the year. That would be amazing because we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. All right, let's before we move on, let's take a look at some of these chats. Jersey Joe's in the chat. Thanks for being here, Joe. BZ says, trusting Islam is like trusting a reticulated python not to crush you. That's its nature. Yes. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, you're absolutely right. Islam plays deceptively nice until it has numerical superiority. That's already occurring in Michigan and Minnesota. Yes. And it's not like this is a secret. They tell us this. They tell us this. And for whatever reason, people just ignore it. I don't get it. I do not get it. All right, y'all. Let's move on because we're gonna, if we have time, we're gonna come back to a similar story about, or an Islam-related story, but let's move on to some other things. And I guess this kinda is Islam-related too, but not really. But Staten Island, the borough in New York, is trying to secede from New York City. It's watching Manhattan and Brooklyn and the Bronx and all the rest of them barrel towards an Islamo-communist policy train wreck and thinking, yeah, we're not getting in that car with you, not by a long shot. Because when you elect a mayor endorsed by activist theocrats and anti-Western ideologues, you can't be shocked when people who actually understand the threat for what it is head for the door. Staten Island wants out because they see a storm brewing. They see New York City's political trajectory, and they want no parts of it. Unrestricted migration, unrestricted illegal immigration, sanctuary city extremism, anti-police agendas, just everything you could possibly think that would be wrong, New York City is about to run headfirst into. And I know that there are some things that Mamdani is not going to be able to implement. I get that. But that's not going to stop him from trying. And when you look at the electoral map, let's take a look at the electoral map of New York City and the 5 boroughs. See this red right here? That is all Staten Island. There's a few blue areas, but it is majority conservative Republican. And all the rest of this blue, that is Manhattan, the Bronx, all the rest of the 5 boroughs, and Queens. And Staten Island wants no part of it. And I do not blame them one bit. And so what are the chances of this happening? Well, let's take a look. St. George, Louisiana, broke away from Baton Rouge. They were watching the school system collapse, corruption, incompetence, no accountability. And St. George, they seceded from Baton Rouge because they wanted to build their own city. And the Louisiana Supreme Court let it happen. They didn't want to see their kids get sacrificed on the altar of political decay. They didn't want to see that happen. And that's what would have happened if they stayed within the limits of Baton Rouge. And a few suburbs of Memphis were successfully able to secede. South Cordova, South Wind, Rocky Point, Riverwood, they all jumped ship. They all jumped ship. Violent crime was at an all-time high. Taxes were ridiculous. And city services just imploded. And it's not like they set out to be this great utopian enclave or these utopian enclaves. They just wanted to stop. They wanted to stop the bleeding. They literally, they didn't want to be a part of Memphis's suicide pact. And Memphis let them go. Wasn't really much of a fight. And they didn't form their own cities. They were absorbed by the county. And so they didn't have to worry about forming a police department, fire department, anything like that. They just became part of the county and now have sheriffs and county fire departments and all the rest of it. And Staten Island wants to do the same thing. But the reality is Staten Island is going to have a much tougher time than St. George in Louisiana and these suburbs of Memphis, because they don't have a county infrastructure to fall back on. They're going to have to form their own police department, their own fire department, and their own city services, which there are some studies that say that they'll be able to do it without a problem. Others are saying that it's going to cause taxes on Staten Island to spike. I'm not sure which one is right. I've seen both, and I didn't get a chance to look into the methodology of all of them and stuff like that, so I'm not really sure. BZ says in the chat that they don't have the numbers for a good tax base, and yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. But the political climate, the political landscape in New York City is a huge challenge. And people who believe in Western civilization still, a lot of them are still on Staten Island. Parental rights, a legal system not governed by Sharia law. They want to jump ship. They want to jump ship, and I can't say that I blame them. Not one bit. Could it work? Maybe. Maybe. St. George broke away and was able to stabilize. The Memphis suburbs broke away and were but they were absorbed by the county, so they had that safety net to fall back on. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I hope it works out. I really do. And here's the thing: even if it doesn't work out, even if they're not able to break away and form their own city and create their own infrastructure, a lot of the people on Staten Island have the resources to leave. They have the resources to leave. Sackhead Sean says in the chat, they have a good tax base financially and a ton of the rich folk. Staten Island should never have been a part of New York City, but yeah, you're right. And they could. I haven't seen any talk of them trying to get absorbed by Nassau County. They seem to be focused on forming their own city. But you're right, that probably would be the best bet, to do something in the short term, to do something that could be take more immediate effect. But we'll see. And the question isn't whether or not, well, the main question isn't whether or not Staten Island can survive on its own. It's whether or not they can survive inside New York City for very much longer. So we'll see. They will be the canary in the coal mine, because if they're able to do it, whether they retreat to the county or create their own city infrastructure, if they're able to do it, we're probably going to see a lot of other cities do this. Yeah, will the state, Sackhead Sean says in the chat, will the state legislature allow it? I think they probably will. I think they probably will, because it's not like what's happening in Oregon and Idaho, where they're trying to leave the state altogether. They're just trying to form their own thing, and all that is still going to stay within the state of New York. So I think there's a good chance that they would. A good chance that they would. All right. Let's pivot, because I want to talk about this. I meant to talk about this. I came across this story probably 2 weeks ago now. So you're saying it has a chance? Yeah, I believe so. And I haven't done a ton of research on it, but I think so. I think there is a chance. All right. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this story because I saw it a couple of weeks ago and never got to it. But it's something that, well, maybe a week ago. But it's something that I think needs to be talked about. We need to address it, because this is probably not the only place where this has happened and is going to happen. For all of the great, or maybe not great, but for all of the good things that AI can do, it can be abused. And it can be abused by kids. some boys used AI to create deep fake nude images, pornographic images of a 13-year-old girl. And the school decided that because the girl stood up for herself, confronted the boy, slapped the phone out of his hand, or maybe slapped him. Some stories say have conflicting information, but regardless, they decided because of that they should expel her. Yeah. The 13-year-old girl victimized by teenage boys with AI was expelled from school because she got pissed off, and the boys, shockingly, suffered no consequences, or at least the boy that's been held responsible so far. No consequences from the school, none. And now, because of the uproar, the girl was allowed to go back to school on a probationary basis. What world are we living in where that, if you had told me that even 2 years ago, I would have been like, you lost your mind. Come on, no way, absolutely no way. Yet here we are. And that's not the worst of the story either, by the way. That is not the worst of it. Girl, 13, expelled for hitting classmate who made a deep fake porn image of her, lawyers say. Wow, just, wow. But the worst, it does get worse. She went to the school, she went to the administrators, and they did absolutely nothing. Nothing. And she was trying to tell them to put a stop to it. Right here it says the school board's actions, in this case are reprehensible. My client's daughter was begging for them all day to put a stop to this. Not only did they not put a stop to it, they put her on the bus with the perpetrator. So when she saw it being shared again, she hit him. And then she was expelled. I am having a really hard time wrapping my mind around this. Really hard time. And there was a school board meeting where the community members were rightfully outraged. And during the meeting, the girl asked to contact her father. Wow. And was told by school officials that the parents did not need to get involved. What? How does, who thinks of that in their mind and tells a 13-year-old girl who's involved in something like this, something not of her doing, wants to call her parents, and they say, yeah, no, we don't need to get them involved right now. Are you insane? Wow. I'm at a loss. I really am. I really am. And the girl's father in this case said he would have been okay with her being suspended for hitting the boy, which I disagree with him on that. Because, okay, if the boy had actually gotten expelled and she got suspended for hitting him, okay, fine. I can I wouldn't be happy, but I'd deal with that, and I'd be okay. But she got expelled, and he got nothing. Nothing. Now, because of the outcry, the police did eventually get involved, and he was charged with 10 counts of, what's it say here? 10 counts of disseminating pornographic images or something like that, unlawful dissemination of images created by AI. And he may get arrested, and some other people who were involved may end up getting arrested. But can you imagine? I cannot imagine what would happen if that happened to my sisters when they were in school and my dad found out about, ooh, people who know my dad. Yeah, that would not be pretty. And I gotta say, if I had a daughter and something like this happened and they told her not to contact me, oh, there'll be some furniture moving up in there, because that was no, absolutely not. And so now, because of all the media attention, like I said, B says, "Oh, the bishop, yes, that would not be pretty." BZ says, "We're the government. It's our child, not your child." Well, yeah, that's what they think. That is absolutely what they think. They believe that you don't have rights to. I mean, they want to teach them all kinds of nasty, pornographic stuff, and then tell you don't have a right to object to it. So yeah, Sean said this is not surprising, and yeah, on that level, it's really not. It's really not. So the family is preparing a lawsuit. Failure to protect, negligence, sheer stupidity, although that's probably not in the lawsuit, even though it probably should be. The school is saying that protocol was followed. How is there, on what level does it make any sense for the protocol to be the girl who was victimized reacts the way a child would and hit somebody, but the one who did the victimizing, nothing? I remember this was probably 20 plus years ago now. I think it may have happened in one of the projects where I was on patrol, but there was a story about a couple of teenagers, 13, maybe 14 years old, got caught having sex. Both of them were charged with statutory rape. Now, I thought that was kind of silly, but how did we go from that to fake porn images of a 13-year-old girl and nothing? Now, I know that he's been charged by the county sheriff and all that, but it took a while. It took some backlash to happen before that took place. It seems to me, and the charges are only misdemeanors, by the way. It seems to me that disseminating pornographic images of a minor should be more than a misdemeanor. Now, it really should. You know what? And for all the people out there who like to put the images of their kids online, I get it. Families are dispersed all over the place. You want everybody to be able to see. I understand that, but the danger is so real that this is happening all over the place, and the danger of having this happen in a way that where you might not even know about it. I mean, this was, I don't want to say fortunate, but they were able to find out about it and address it. But who knows what these perverts are doing with these images? It's a tricky situation. Oh, so Sackhead Sean remembers that. Yeah. Talking about the two kids charged with statutory rape. Yeah, it's this AI, for all of the benefits that it can have, this is a danger that is going to have to be addressed. Louisiana State, this happened. This is the 6th Ward middle school in Louisiana. Brian Fontenot, a state rep, is putting forth legislation to turn it from a misdemeanor into a felony, because right now it's not. It's not. This girl was failed by just about everyone. The school administrators believe they did everything right. They followed protocol. But they didn't protect her. They didn't do anything when they found out what was going on. They didn't separate her from this kid who did this. They didn't discipline this kid or any of the boys involved in any way. And she got expelled because she slapped him. Really? I keep going back to that, and I'm just like, somebody said that in a meeting somewhere out loud, and nobody objected. They all thought it made sense. And that's a standard. Say it out loud. Say it out loud. And if it sounds stupid to you when you say it out loud, it is. And come up with something else. But they didn't follow that standard, and now here we are. And it is, if we don't get a handle on it, it's only going to get worse. And since we know the schools aren't going to protect your children, it's up to dads. It's up to parents in general. It's up to dads in particular to step up and do and protect your kids. This culture is normalizing sexualization of minors at a rapid clip, and it's appalling. And Christians and conservatives and people just with common sense need to take this head on. Because right now the message to boys is whatever whatever you do, well, the message to boys should be that you're responsible for your actions and you're responsible for the damage you cause. And if you cause any damage, then you have to deal with it. You have to suffer the consequences of that. But right now, nothing. Right now, you can just do whatever you want to do. And there are no consequences whatsoever. And the message to girls should be that you deserve to be protected and not punished for daring to try and protect your dignity. But that's what happened here. She got punished for stepping up and saying, no, I'm not going to let you do this. These are going to be the consequences for you doing this. The schools, get your kids out of these public schools, these government schools, please, please, because the administrators don't care about your kids, and they will continue to fail your kids. They will continue to fail your kids because their policies won't protect your kids, and they have no courage to want to step up and protect your kids. They don't even, protecting kids isn't even something they think about. And if we don't step up and do something about it, this is going to be the new normal. This is going to stay the new normal. It already is the new normal, really. But it's going to stay that way. All right, we got a few minutes left, and there's another story I want to get to, and this is circling back to New York City and Islam. And I don't know if you've seen or heard about this yet, but Zohran Mamdani has endorsed a candidate for, I don't know if it's his seat that he's vacating as a result of winning this election, but he is, before I got to get to this, BZ says, but you don't get it, Earl. It was only an image, yet she was the only one who used violence. Yeah, that is the logic, such a logic, quote unquote, that they use. And it is such a crock. Saying it out loud and not even being the way I believe, but just saying it out loud, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, so Zohran Mamdani, he has endorsed someone for an assemblyman seat. And I don't know if it's his that he vacated, but he endorsed someone who finds it reprehensible to apologize for a terror attack that a couple of people did. And that sounds an awful lot like what Ilhan Omar said. Some people did something. But Zohran Mamdani endorsed this woman, and her name is Aber Kawas, something, who knows. And let's take a listen to what she said about 9/11.
And so and finding that the system of capitalism and racism and white supremacy, etc., and Islamophobia have all been used, to colonize lands, right, to take resources from other people. And so this is
Islamophobia is not a thing. You know, let's continue and we'll get it.
A long trajectory, and we're just seeing the manifestations of that continuation, right, with 9/11. And so a lot of times when people are asking us to respond about, you know, attack, right, if you look back, like, historically, right, you know, a lot of us come from lands that were colonized, lands where wars are being waged, right, and a lot of times because of U.S. policy or the policies in Europe. And so I find that we can connect over that, but then also that the idea that we have to apologize for, like, a terror attack that, like, a couple of people did, and then there is no apologies or reparations for genocides and for slavery, et cetera, is something that I kind of find, like, reprehensible. And
reprehensible. Just a couple of things. And first, like I said, there is no such thing as Islamophobia. They are telling us unequivocally what they want to do. They have told us your children will become Muslim. They have told us we are coming here to take over. We are going to outbreed you. You will be Muslim. You can find those videos all over the place. It doesn't take much to search. And in fact, Amy Meck on Twitter or X and the Rare Foundation, all you got to do is look at her account and you'll find 90% of all of that stuff right there for all of you to see. So there's that. And she talks about colonization. Now, I'm not sure if she was born in the United States, but she's wearing the Islamic garb and she's spent time over in the Middle East. Those lands that she talks about were colonized by Islamists. They were colonized by the Ottoman Empire. And it spread from Turkey, Iraq, Iran, all throughout the Middle East. And that area, before it was colonized by them, was predominantly Christian. So when she talks about colonization, she needs to get an education. And she has a degree in Islam, a master's degree in Islamic liberation theology. Whatever that means. It's tied around the liberation theology. You've seen Black liberation theology, and now there's Islamic liberation theology. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. But she says that people who it's reprehensible to apologize for 9/11 because a couple of people did something. Well, it was 19 people, and the Saudi Arabian government backed, going back to President Trump's red carpet welcome of the Saudi Arabian crown prince, who beheaded a journalist, dismembered a journalist. But yeah, this is the woman that Zohran Mamdani is endorsing for a seat on the New York State Assembly. And people will say, "Oh, this is just a fringe idea. This is not something." No, this is not fringe. You probably could have gotten away with saying that and more people believing it 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. This is everywhere now. This is their platform. This is what they believe. She is closely linked with CAIR, which we talked about earlier. She is anti-American, anti-Israel, and she is now positioning herself in New York State politics, and she's young. If this is successful, she could be a mayor of New York City in the next 10 years or whatever, if we don't do something to stop this. She has the same worldview as Mamdani, and the people who actually vote in New York don't seem to have a problem with it. So there is a clear pathway for her if we don't block it somehow. And so how could we block it? Well, I have said on a few occasions that I have said before, we need to just ban Islam outright, because we may not think collectively that we're at war with them, but they are most definitely at war with us. Without a doubt, they are at war with us. And it's about time we recognize that. We will never be invaded. We will never be taken down militarily. But they are doing everything they possibly can according to their plan, which has been in place for decades, if not hundreds of years. They are proceeding according to their plan to take the West down from the inside. And so, how do we stop that? We could ban Islam. And we need to get back to protecting what is American. There was a commission back in the day, I believe, called the what was it? Un-American Activities Commission. I think we need to bring that back. And start looking at this from a reality-based position and not just some pie in the sky utopian, oh, nothing's ever going to happen position, because we're seeing that is very wrong thinking. All right, there's more I want to get into with that, but we'll have to revisit that. There's one last thing I want to talk about, and this one is this one is pretty funny. This one is pretty funny because for a long time, people have been championing this gender delusion ideology, and anyone who goes against it is a bigot, is a phobe, or whatever. And Joy Reid, and this is in response to the Tish Hyman thing, where she had found that dude in the women's locker room and freaked out. Joy Reid is kind of coming around, I think. Check this out.
I would be disturbed. I'm telling you, I would be alarmed. I'm alarmed enough when I see a woman with her dangling boobies. Yeah. If I saw a penis in the ladies' locker room, I would freak out too. This is nothing against trans anybody. What it's saying is, if I turn around and I see a penis in front of me inside of the room, yeah, I would probably go to management and say, wait a minute, why is there a naked man in this room? Because just the world we live in, just from a safety standpoint, and just from a from a pride.
Wait, hang on. I was reliably told by her numerous times that there is no safety concerns whatsoever with having dudes who think they're women and pretending to be women in women's locker rooms. Am I wrong? She has said that repeatedly, and every one of her ilk has said that repeatedly. But now that she's no longer on BS Now or MSDNC or whatever it's called, now she's speaking her mind.
Privacy standpoint, so I can see why she would have gone and reported to management. There's a man naked in the bed. Now, if they clarified and they said, well, trans, okay, but I think they should take her concerns also seriously.
Well. My, how the tables have turned. Sackhead Sean says, I believe this is called a correction of course. Yes, it's something. These people have absolutely no principles. She was towing that line because she was being paid to. And even she still is now, because she still kind of qualified it at the end, saying, well, if they say it's a trans, well, then that makes it somewhat okay. But it doesn't. And she knows it. She knows it. She just doesn't want to get canceled. Even though what she said right here is she's going to get some backlash for it. Make no mistake about it. But she's going to point to what she said right at the end, saying, I have nothing against trans people, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, these people are ridiculous. All right, y'all. That's all I got for you this time. I will keep trying to make each episode better than the last. If anything that I said today hit home for you, please take a second to like and subscribe. And share with everyone that you know, because we're not just here to run our mouths. We want to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, like I said, there is a Black Friday sale on Mission Ready Men. Hit shop 7 Armors and check out all the great designs over there. And there's also a Black Friday sale on carrygirl.com. So if you want to get some great gifts, check out both of those sites. And we look forward to getting you all your great gear. What we have over there on both sites, Carry Girl and Mission Ready Men, is about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.